If you've ever been on the WoW Economy Reddit, I'm sure you've at some point seen people discuss, like, are you going to be making most of your gold in the first week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks of a patch or expansion, or not? Some people hold that view that that's when you make your gold. And this has been true at some points in the past. I'm not sure it's true anymore. At least not for me personally on the approaches I take. So we're going to talk about that theme today. And there's a reason why we're looking at my gold graph, and we should probably look at it from about when Shadowlands launched, which I think was around here. And obviously during the Shadowlands period, we can see that there are some absolutely insane spikes up, spikes down, and spikes up. This was the launch of 9.3, by the way, where this was absolutely true. Like 100% Shadowlands was the most extreme patch when it comes to the economy, where focusing all your effort into the month surrounding the patch was what mattered. Like in this period here, of however much this was, 6 weeks, I made 30 million gold. This was the launch of 9.3. That's how it was. There's a bunch of different reasons for why this was the way it was. We were making gold with legendaries. That was the item. Everyone needed new legendaries when the new patch came. The barrier to entry was very high. You needed to have a ton of gold to even be able to craft legendaries. I mean, in this period, I spent probably 50... Well, that was the wrong period. Because that was just before launch. Anyway, I spent 50 million gold on materials to get all the recipes early on in Shadowlands. Actually, I spent 100 in this period just leveling all the recipes, and then finally we started getting upwards once I did that. Not many people can do that. You needed to either have a ton of gold or have a decent chunk of gold and just the willpower and the risk appetite to go for it, which is what I did. I had about 1 million when Dragonflight launched, or when Shadowlands launched, and I just went for it. So yeah, everyone needed to get these, and they were only able to be sold on the auction house. People were buying them on the auction house, which means that the sellers could set the price. Essentially, we were setting the price, and you were only competing with people in your own realm. But there's been a huge amount of changes since then to the auction house. If I go on the auction house right now, to try to sell Dragonflight gear, or if I open my profession window, like any strong gear from professions, that's BOP now. It's very strong, but it's BOP. So if you look at the Alacritus Alchemist Stone, this can go all the way up to mythic item level, but it's BOP. The only way to sell it is through the crafting order, which means I have to find my buyer in trade chat. So I have to sit in trade chat and advertise. And then maybe I'll find someone who's willing to buy that specific item from me. Or they're going to whisper one of the thousands of others. Well, obviously, I would show you a massive trade chat spam, but logged into an alliance character on my Horde server, or on the server I play on. And if you go to the auction house, then anything that's not BOP, it's stackable items. It's stuff like the enchant here. So I'm selling into the entire region. So there's a ton of other people. And every consumable item has just huge volume, because it's the entire region on anything that's stackable. That also means that you have to sit on the auction house. You have to repost, because you're going to get the sale, or you're going to get undercut within the first minute. And it's also meant that a lot of the dynamics in terms of pricing for materials, pricing for finished items, has changed very differently to what it's been in the past. The race to the bottom is a lot faster. And even though you can make a ton of gold if you're early, if you want to be early, you have to either get lucky with drops, or you have to pay a lot of gold for recipes with stuff like Elemental Lariat, Shadow Flame Armor Patch. And some people made it, paid a lot for them, made out with a bunch of gold. But that was typically going to require you to have a huge amount of time to be able to dedicate to just extracting value from that recipe. So if you bought Elemental Lariat early on for like gold cap or whatever, that was probably worth it if you had the time to set 5, 6, 10 hours a day in trade chat just getting deals, because there were very few people who had the Lariat and everyone wanted to have it crafted. Very few people had the recipe. But prices rapidly fall, and it's very easy to end up in a situation where you just overbought materials, prices on everything has gone down, and you're just taking a huge loss. which has happened a lot, and it's made it a lot less attractive in Dragonflight to go for these like hardcore do everything around the patch, because all of the markets where you can do this will require you to spend a lot more time, a lot more active time doing gold making than what you could get away with in Shadowlands, for instance. Or to a lesser extent in previous expansions where I didn't do that much patch prep, to be fair. So what does this mean for me? It means that I'm back to steady state gold making. And that has typically been my my major approach in the past. Focus on markets that just work long term. And most endgame markets work long term. Like people aren't gonna, as long as they keep playing, they're not gonna stop buying consumables or enchants. They're gonna keep needing them. So they're gonna keep selling for the entire expansion. And interestingly, a lot of items that are stackable and are sold in the region-wide auction houses are relatively profitable. So you can see here, buzzing runes right now, 8 gold profit per craft, over a 33 gold crafting cost. That's pretty good. That's 30%. I guess a little bit less, but it's 25%, something like that. Which is very, very reasonable for this kind of high volume craft where you're gonna sell off. Like this sells incredibly fast. I can typically click craft all and then sell them all, like all of the stuff I crafted. The same has been the case for a lot of the enchants. Like some of them are showing profits. They change a little bit more because you have the added craziness of inspiration. A lot of gems showing 100 gold, 150 gold consistent profit. Dracothist, cooldown cloth, very consistent profits. Like there's a lot of Dragonflight items that you can sell it just consistently. You're not gonna very hard to get super rich because you have to be in a lot of different items, and prices do vary. Surprisingly, like prices vary more than I would have expected on the region-wide auction house. But there's a lot of items that will bring in a consistent small amount of gold each, and then you just add more and more of them, and you get a good chunk of sales at the end of the day. A good chunk of sales. I've been putting a little bit more effort this last period in terms of the road to 100 million gold, and I've seen more Dragonflight sales, and there's definitely just a lot of items that sell, and the advantages of the region-wide auction house is that it's very quick to sell your items. Very quick. As you can see here, we have the 64,000 gold in fauna runes that I generated over 2 crafting sessions. Just buy a bunch of chill runes, click craft all, post them all to the auction house, and rinse and repeat while you're doing something else on the other monitor. Yeah, there's still profits to be made in Dragonflight, but I think that unless you have a lot of time available, I think that focusing on like going very hard around the patch launch is now not going to be the main strategy for people who aren't extremely dedicated to like the gold making game and who have that as their absolute main focus, and who are also able to dedicate a lot of time to World of Warcraft. So I don't think it's for me, because that's definitely not me. I'm a hardcore dad gamer. Yeah, that's how it is. Yeah, hopefully this was a little bit interesting, a little look at what this expansion brings. I think that Dragonflight is just going to be a steady state, and for most casual gold makers, you want to augment this with various cosmetic markets as well. Transmog, battle pets, something like that, if you're doing it on multiple realms or just a single realm. I think that's going to be the more consistent way to get into multiple tokens type of gold territory. Yeah, if you want to get started with that, there's a link to my battle pet video, and yeah, we'll see you around.